Imagine not an ordinary archive filled with dusty shelves and tattered parchments, but something entirely different, a grand structure carved out of solid stone. It was a vast complex covering 30 hectares, surpassing any imaginable scale. According to those who saw it with their own eyes, ancient witnesses, this building was so enormous that its perimeter could contain all the great temples of Egypt, Karnak, Luxor, Abydos, connected into one incredible ensemble. It was a construction consisting of 3,000 rooms, arranged on two levels, some above ground, bathed in the bright Egyptian sun, others deep within, in perpetual darkness impervious to any light. Inside this complex was a labyrinth of corridors, staircases, and hidden passages, intertwined in an endless, mad pattern. It was built not for habitation, but for concealment, to hide something of extraordinary importance from prying eyes forever. This was not the fantasy of a writer, nor the script of a Hollywood film. It is an accurate, detailed description left to us by the great Greek historian Herodotus. Nearly 2,500 years ago, he claimed to have seen this place with his own eyes and left words that have stirred minds and puzzled scholars for centuries. His words were, "I saw this structure, and it surpasses all description. Truly, it exceeds even the pyramids." However, shortly after, it vanished without a trace, as if it had never existed. It was erased from the face of the earth, dismantled into stones, swallowed by the sands of time, transforming into myth, legend, ghost. This great labyrinth of Egypt, in the opinion of those who sought it, is not just a fairy tale. For 2,000 years, scientists and explorers considered it the most vivid figment, the most exaggerated story about ancient times, created by the father of history. But what if Herodotus, despite all his dramatic descriptions, was speaking the full truth? What if this magnificent structure truly existed, and its ruins are still hidden beneath the desert sands, waiting for their moment to reappear before the world? Recent discoveries made with modern technologies even the ancient Egyptians could not have dreamed of, have silenced the most ardent skeptics. Beneath the sands of the Fayum oasis, something was uncovered that shocks scientists and raises questions that send shivers down the spine. It was a gigantic, complex, and geometrically perfect structure, precisely matching Herodotus's descriptions. And it is this discovery that prompts us to wonder, what exactly did the ancient pharaohs, or perhaps someone else, hide so desperately and securely in the very heart of this impossible, newly rediscovered labyrinth? Our investigation begins not in the heat of the Egyptian sun, but in the silence of libraries and archives, on the pages of ancient manuscripts. The main and for many years the only witness to these events was Herodotus of Halicarnassus. This person was not merely a historian, he was a traveler, an anthropologist, and a journalist of his time. In the 5th century BC, he journeyed to Egypt during the late period of the pharaohs. By then, Egyptian civilization had already experienced its golden age, and the country was under the rule of the Persian Empire. Nevertheless, its majestic monuments still rose in all their splendor, and the priests preserved ancient knowledge passed down through generations. It was during this time that Herodotus witnessed many mysterious and astonishing phenomena, and his words continue to evoke admiration and bewilderment. In his truly monumental and grand narrative, Herodotus left us the only detailed and richly described account of a mysterious labyrinth, which still inspires both awe and confusion. His description is filled with awe-inspiring details and at the same time impresses with its scale, surpassing all imagination. Herodotus wrote about a complex located near Lake Meridava, in the fertile oasis of Fayum, close to a mud brick pyramid. This pyramid belonged to a 12th dynasty pharaoh named Amenemhat II, and it was here, according to the historian, that the mysterious labyrinth was situated. Herodotus claimed that he personally explored the upper chambers of this structure and counted 12 cloistered courtyards with colonnades arranged in such a way that they appeared to face each other, like in a mirror. He described in detail the endless, tangled corridors, passages from one hall to another, with walls decorated with exquisite carvings and hieroglyphs, testaments to the high craftsmanship of Egyptian artisans. He enthusiastically and reverently recounted the roofs, made entirely of giant stone slabs, and the columns carved from solid blocks of white stone, polished to a mirror shine. All of this he regarded as something incredible, surpassing even the most famous architectural achievements of Greek civilization in grandeur. His conclusion was very definitive. The effort and expense invested in creating this structure exceeded everything built in the Greek world. Every wall, every temple, and architectural monument. Yet despite this, he emphasized that even these structures evoke wonder, for the scale of this labyrinth surpassed the pyramids, the greatest monuments of Egyptian civilization. But the most mysterious and ominous element of his story was a detail that lent a special mystical tone to the entire description. The Egyptian priests who accompanied Herodotus and served as guides through these enigmatic labyrinths categorically refused to show him the underground chambers. When he persistently asked for permission to enter, they sternly and without explanation replied that access was forbidden because the underground passages contained the tombs of the kings who built the labyrinth and, even more strangely, the tombs of sacred crocodiles considered earthly incarnations of the god Sebes. This story, so detailed yet filled with fantastical elements, has remained a true enigma for historians for centuries. On one hand, its intricacy made it impossible to consider it pure fiction. On the other hand, the scale and grandeur of the structure seemed unthinkable for any reality. Herodotus was not alone in his recollections. Other ancient authors, such as the famous geographer Strabo and the naturalist Pliny the Elder, also mentioned the existence of this labyrinth, confirming its colossal size. Strabo, who visited Egypt approximately 400 years after Herodotus during the Roman era, described it as a construction comparable in size to the pyramids and marveled at its 27 halls with monolithic ceilings. Pliny the Elder added that even centuries later, the labyrinth was not entirely destroyed and mentioned its underground sections, which still remained in their original state. However, over time, everything changed. With the fall of ancient religions and the disappearance of their sacred status, the labyrinth lost its significance as a holy site. For the Roman Empire and subsequent civilizations, it became a giant quarry, a place where the most valuable building materials were extracted. Its polished granite columns, massive limestone blocks, and alabaster slabs became an integral part of construction projects throughout the Fayum oasis. Historians and archaeologists arrived at a very convenient and logical conclusion that helped explain many ancient mysteries. Herodotus, famous for his love of colorful exaggerations and vivid descriptions, fell victim to his own Eastern gigantomania. In his stories, he mentioned a gigantic labyrinth, which he claimed was one of the most astonishing and incredible structures of antiquity. However, modern researchers have concluded that this legendary labyrinth most likely never existed in the form described by Herodotus. In reality, if it did exist, it was merely a large but quite standard funerary temple built near the pyramid of Amenhotep II, rather than the impossible megastructure the ancient historian described. The passage of roughly 2,000 years since those events has erased most traces of this mysterious object, and the mystery of the labyrinth gradually faded into a dusty academic footnote on the shelves of history. This myth of the labyrinth long remained merely a subject of legends and legendary tales, lacking archaeological confirmation. Until the late 19th century, when a very talented and persistent British archaeologist decided to investigate the old legend firsthand, armed not only with a shovel and pickaxe, but also with an unwavering belief in ancient sources that held many secrets. His name was Sir William Matthew Flinders Petrie. He was not a typical adventurer seeking gold and treasures in forgotten tombs. Unlike many of his contemporaries, he was a scholar through and through, a man who dedicated his life to the development of systematic archaeology. It was he who devised the method of cross-dating ceramic artifacts, which transformed scattered finds from excavations into an exact science. This method became one of the most significant achievements in archaeological practice, enabling precise determination of the time period and era to which the discovered artifacts belong. Petrie possessed an almost supernatural intuition for forgotten ruins and abandoned monuments of civilizations. His respect for historical sources was boundless, as he believed that they held the keys to unlocking ancient mysteries. In the 18th century, guided by the texts of Herodotus and Strabo, he traveled to Egypt, to the semi-destroyed pyramid of Amenhotep II, which at the time appeared as a bleak relic of the past. This hill, made of weathered raw brick, surrounded by fetid swamps and quicksand, did not attract much attention from passers-by. Everything around seemed abandoned and forgotten, with no hint of former grandeur. But Petrie believed in the ancient texts. He began excavations precisely at the location described as the heart of the legendary labyrinth. He chose a site south of the pyramid, where, according to Herodotus's accounts, this mysterious structure was situated. Almost immediately, his workers stumbled upon something astonishing. Beneath a layer of sand and debris left by later Roman constructions, they discovered a massive platform made of large stone slabs. This platform was strewn with the bases of ruined columns and remnants of walls. It was almost the foundation of a colossal structure. Petrie, following his methodology, began to take meticulous measurements. He confirmed that the discovered structure stretched 304 meters in length and 244 meters in width. The area of this complex was so vast that, without exaggeration, it could contain two of Egypt's greatest temples, the Karnak and Luxor temples, combined. This was irrefutable evidence that the ancient sources were truthful and that the legendary labyrinth truly existed. Subsequently, the archaeologist uncovered other significant evidence. Deep within the ancient excavations, dozens of mummified animals were found, ranging from enormous monsters up to 5 meters long to tiny infants just hatched from eggs. These discoveries caused a real sensation among archaeologists and historians. However, not all of them proved authentic. Some mummies were skillful forgeries, created by humans either to deceive or possibly for ritual purposes. These forgeries were executed with extraordinary craftsmanship. Bundles of reed, inside which a crocodile egg or several bones were hidden. Everything looked remarkably convincing. Part 5 of 12. It is likely that these artificial mummies served as cheaper offerings to the powerful crocodile deity, Sobek, whose cult thrived in the Fayum oasis. This oasis, known to the ancient Egyptians as the land of the lake, was a center of religion and beliefs associated with this deity. Sobek was not merely an animal god. He represented something far more significant. He was regarded as a creator god, the god of the Nile's fertility, as well as a deity embodying primal strength and authority that reigned over all living and dead. The main cult center of Sobek was located in this region, the city of Shedet, which the Greeks called Crocodilopolis. This city served not only as a religious hub, but also as a symbol of power and spiritual influence. The discovery of this site was a real shock to scientists. It confirmed the most mysterious and seemingly implausible detail mentioned in Herodotus's accounts. It became clear that the labyrinth, which had long fascinated archaeologists, was not simply a funerary temple of a pharaoh or part of a necropolis. On the contrary, it was the chief religious center of the entire country, dedicated to the mighty and formidable deity Sobek. This fact significantly altered the understanding of the labyrinth's significance and its role in ancient Egyptian culture. The eminent archaeologist Flinders Petrie made a groundbreaking breakthrough. He managed to uncover evidence of the existence of this legendary complex from the depths of history, elevating it from the realm of myths and legends to the map of real archaeological science. His work proved that the labyrinth was not just a myth or a mystery, but a very real object hidden beneath the earth and water. However, despite this success, his triumph was tinged with bitterness and a sense of incompleteness. He was only able to find the foundation of this enormous structure, a pale shadow of its former grandeur. The interior chambers, underground floors mentioned by Herodotus, remained beyond the reach of scientists. Petrie, one of the leading researchers, desperately tried to go deeper, excavating new shafts again and again. But each attempt was thwarted by an insurmountable barrier. Thick black water that instantly filled all the holes he dug. The high groundwater level, significantly worsened in the Middle Ages by a canal dug here, reliably concealed the lower levels of the labyrinth. This natural and man-made barrier seemed like an ancient curse guarding the secrets of the underground corridors and halls. As a result, many mysteries of the tombs of kings and sacred crocodiles remained unresolved, buried beneath layers of sand, silt, and water. For decades, the labyrinth remained in a state of suspended anticipation. Its existence was confirmed, yet its main treasures and secrets remained inaccessible. It seemed that the mystery would never be fully unraveled. Everything changed only in the 21st century when modern technologies came to the aid of archaeologists, capable of peering through the earth, water, and even through the centuries. The beginning of the new millennium brought with it a quiet yet significant revolution in the field of archaeological research. New tools emerged that allowed scientists to become akin to geological radiologists. In the distant year 2008, an international team of scientists, comprising specialists from Belgium and Egypt, embarked on an expedition to a site known as Hawara. This group was called the Mataha Project, named after the Arabic word meaning labyrinth, and was fully equipped not with ordinary excavation tools, but with advanced ground-penetrating radar equipment and powerful computers capable of processing vast amounts of data. Their mission was bold and ambitious, as they aimed to do what previous researchers had failed to accomplish: to look beneath the flooded foundation of the mysterious labyrinth and uncover the secrets hidden deep within. The team began systematic, methodical scanning of the extensive area previously excavated by the renowned archaeologist Petrie. Day after day, with patience and focus, the equipment slowly moved across the desert landscape, sending pulse after pulse into the ground. This work required not only technical precision, but also nearly meditative concentration, as each movement and measurement could hold the key to a century-long mystery. Gradually, images started to form on the computer screens, layer by layer, slice by slice, as if an invisible artist was slowly drawing a complex mosaic. And what they ultimately saw exceeded all expectations and made their hearts race with excitement. Beneath the layer of sand and silt, at depths ranging from 8 to 12 meters, the ground-penetrating radar revealed not just a chaotic jumble of debris or scattered wall fragments. It uncovered a clear, massive, perfectly planned structure, shaped in a rectangular form that could not have been accidental. It was a network of thick, massive walls forming numerous rooms, halls, and corridors, a complex multi-level architectural layout resembling a blueprint of an underground complex. For the scientists, this was not merely ruins. They discovered, and this was a true breakthrough, a plan of an entire, essentially untouched subterranean level of a vast structure that apparently had remained hidden beneath the earth for centuries. The most astonishing part was that the dimensions of this structure matched exactly those indicated by the historian Herodotus in his descriptions. But the most remarkable thing was not even that. It turned out that the structure detected by the radar was located directly beneath the very stone platform that Petrie considered the foundation. That is, beneath the base that seemingly served as the foundation for the entire complex. This fact led the scientists to a staggering and almost unbelievable conclusion. What Petrie excavated in the 19th century was not the foundation of the first floor at all. In fact, it was the roof of an underground level, hidden beneath a layer of stone and earth. The entire lower labyrinth, the very one that Herodotus wrote about, whose priests, in fear, forbade entry, may still exist there, beneath the water and mud, buried for centuries, yet preserved in structural integrity. This discovery could be called the discovery of the century. In its significance, it might rival the most famous find of all, the tomb of Pharaoh Tutankhamun. The team of scientists prepared a detailed scientific report filled with diagrams, charts, and compelling data obtained through ground-penetrating radar scanning. This document was meticulously crafted and was being prepared for publication for the wider scientific community. They planned to present their results at a prestigious international conference to share their discovery with the world. But then something strange and inexplicable happened. The Supreme Council of Antiquities of Egypt, at that time led by the renowned and highly influential scientist, Dr. Zahi Hawass, suddenly intervened in the course of events. The research findings were classified, and the project itself was put under a ban. The team of the Madak project was forbidden from publishing their scientific report or presenting their findings. Why did the Egyptian authorities attempt to hide this crucial discovery? Did they have their own hidden plans regarding the excavation? Or perhaps they feared that the truth about the labyrinth would prove too inconvenient, too contradictory to the established notions of the country's ancient history? Such an inexplicable act of censorship, like a shadow hanging over this discovery, only added a new, ominous layer of intrigue and mystery to the labyrinth. Despite the fact that the discovery was made and the data about the find were published and accessible to the entire scientific community, Herodotus's mythical labyrinth was finally found and confirmed by modern research. Science at last caught up with and supported the ancient legends that had arisen many centuries ago. This event became a turning point, not only confirming the existence of the legendary structure, but also opening up entirely new, more complex and exciting challenges for the next generation of researchers. Now, it is no longer just about discovering the labyrinth. Scientists are tasked with entering this mysterious complex, understanding its true purpose, and uncovering the secrets hidden behind the centuries. This discovery by the Matic team is not merely a spectacular event that marks a bright point in 2,000 years of searching. It is an event akin to a powerful seismic tremor capable of causing cracks in the very foundation of our understanding of ancient Egypt. It forces us to reconsider not only the history of a specific structure, but also the entire period of the Middle Kingdom, and perhaps even what transpired long before it. Such a discovery compels us to repeatedly analyze the facts, like detectives carefully examining a crime scene, to understand the true picture of events. We have the pyramids of Amenhotep II, built as official history claims around 1850 BCE. Nearby, there is a massive, predominantly underground structure known as the labyrinth. Traditional Egyptology has always believed that this labyrinth was a funerary temple constructed by the same pharaoh as part of a unified burial complex. This view seemed logical and fit harmoniously into the overall picture, creating an image of a well-planned architectural ensemble. However, modern ground-penetrating radar studies and new data allow us to look at this question from a completely different perspective. They point to something opposite, an obvious architectural contradiction that is difficult to explain within the framework of existing theories. The axis of the labyrinth, its orientation relative to the cardinal directions, all of this deviates from the pyramid's axis by about 25 degrees. In ancient Egyptian sacred architecture, which was literally obsessed with astronomical precision, every structure, shaft, and corridor within the pyramid was carefully aligned with specific stars. Such a significant discrepancy in orientation between two objects within what appears to be a single complex is almost like building a cathedral with an altar perfectly aligned to the east, and then turning the attached bell tower to the northeast. This architectural nonsensicality demands an explanation, and the simplest yet most questionable solution is to assume that the labyrinth and the pyramid are not directly connected at all. Perhaps the labyrinth is much older, possibly by thousands of years, than Amenhotep II's pyramid. And what if, knowing about the existence of this ancient and sacred structure, the pharaoh himself decided to build his pyramid nearby to harness its power and magic, to link his authority with its ancient glory? Such a hypothesis instantly opens Pandora's box. It raises questions about the origin of the labyrinth and its creators, about the time of its construction, and about the goals of those who built this mysterious structure. If we assume that the labyrinth existed long before the appearance of the pharaohs, then the question of its creators goes beyond the known dynastic histories of Egypt. We enter a fog. The very word labyrinth derives from an ancient Greek term meaning double axe, labris. This symbol held special significance because it was associated with the Minoan palace at Knossos, serving as a sacred symbol of that center. But the meaning of the word extended far beyond a simple description of a confusing structure. In ancient cultures, the labyrinth was not merely a complex architectural object, but a sacred space intended for rituals and ceremonies. Perhaps within its walls, secret rites and initiations took place, allowing a person to transition from the ordinary, profane world into another, spiritual realm. A place where someone, losing their bearings in physical reality, could find a path into the mysterious world of spirits. In this sense, the labyrinth became not only an architectural structure, but also a symbol of spiritual journey, overcoming internal and external chaos. The hypothesis about the satraps of such spiritual understanding is not new. Perhaps the Egyptian labyrinth was precisely such a center, a gigantic, multi-level space where initiations for priests and pharaohs took place. Inside its walls, a person could experience a symbolic death and then rebirth, which was an important part of initiation. The internal levels, underground and dark, could represent the chaotic afterlife realm of Duat, a place of trials, dangers, and spiritual transformations. At the same time, the upper illuminated spaces symbolize the world of the living, an ordered cosmos where harmony and order prevail. This vivid imagery emphasizes the profound meaning of the structure as a transitional point between worlds. However, there is another, more mysterious and perhaps more pragmatic theory, which does not exclude the possibility that the labyrinth was something more material and practical. What if it was not only a ritual center but also a gigantic, heavily protected archive, a repository of knowledge of the entire ancient civilization? Not just a library, but a unique storage where the most important information about the past, science, culture, and technologies was preserved. In ancient texts, such as the works of the Egyptian priest Manetho, who lived in the 2nd century BCE, it is explicitly stated that before the first dynasty of pharaohs, Egypt was ruled by a series of gods and demigods. Modern science perceives these accounts as mythological legends. But what if behind them lies a different reality? Perhaps these myths are distorted memories of a real, very ancient, and highly advanced civilization that existed in the pre-dynastic period. This civilization, according to hypotheses, possessed profound knowledge in astronomy, mathematics, engineering, and possibly other sciences, which we are only beginning to rediscover today. And what if it was this civilization that built the labyrinth to preserve its most valuable knowledge, history, technologies, and scientific achievements? It might have served as a kind of bunker designed to protect information from impending cataclysms, memories of which could still be fresh. Such an approach would explain its enormous size, complex engineering structure, and location, partly underground, everything for maximum protection. In this context, the words of ancient priests, spoken by Herodotus, acquire a different meaning. He said that in the underground parts of the labyrinth are the tombs of the kings who built it, not necessarily the pharaohs of the 12th dynasty, but the very first rulers, whom one could consider gods on earth. Sacred crocodiles associated with the god Sobek, the lord of water and chaos, could have played a role not only as objects of worship, but also as mythological guardians of this ancient archive. Whatever the truth may be, one thing becomes clear. A full exploration of the labyrinth could produce the effect of a bombshell in the world of Egyptology and archaeology. It can either confirm the existing chronology or completely disprove it, pushing the history of ancient Egypt back by thousands of years. We stand on the verge of a discovery that could reshape our understanding of the past. The task facing scientists and archaeologists today, in terms of complexity and scale, is comparable to the construction of the mysterious and intricate labyrinth about which legends abound. The lower levels of this ancient structure remain hidden beneath a layer of water saturated with aggressive groundwater, which penetrates inside with incredible force and persistence. To reach its interior, an unprecedented complex of engineering and archaeological operations will be required, something that has never been attempted on such a scale in history. One of the first steps will be to build around the entire complex a gigantic waterproof wall, extending deep into the earth for dozens of meters, akin to constructing a modern metro or underground tunnels, but on the scale of an ancient structure. This wall must withstand the pressure of the water and prevent its intrusion, creating a safe space for further work. After that, to free the internal chambers, powerful pumps capable of removing millions of cubic meters of water will be needed, constantly battling its ongoing inflow and infiltration. Only then will archaeologists be able to begin reinforcing the ancient vaults and walls to prevent collapse under the pressure of time and moisture. And only after completing all these preparatory steps can meticulous excavations inside the complex commence, an endeavor fraught with high humidity and the danger of collapse, challenges that no archaeologist in Egypt has faced before. This project is long-term, designed to span decades, and will require hundreds of millions of dollars in investment, as well as the collaboration of the world's best scientists, engineers, and specialists. But despite the fact that the first stone has yet to be laid, work is already underway. Using data obtained through georadar scans and satellite photogrammetry, scientists are creating detailed virtual three-dimensional models of this underground complex. In their laboratories, they can walk through its flooded corridors, measure the dimensions of rooms and halls, and analyze the intricate layout that has been preserved here for nearly 4,000 years. Gradually, step by step, they are reconstructing digitally what the ancient masters, possibly Amenemhat III or even earlier rulers, built, preserving their work in the depths of the earth for so many centuries. But what awaits them when they finally manage to physically penetrate this mysterious complex? What treasures and secrets are hidden behind its stone walls? The possible scenarios evoke both awe and apprehension. In the most optimistic, almost fantastical scenarios, there could be untouched royal sarcophagi sealed within airtight chambers that have remained intact for many centuries, unlike nearly all tombs in the Valley of the Kings, which were looted in antiquity. These sarcophagi might contain completely pristine remains, as well as the richest treasures, ritual objects, and, more importantly, the mummies of those buried here. DNA analysis of these remains could provide definitive answers about their origins and familial relationships, shedding light on the mysteries of their lives and deaths. No less valuable and perhaps even more likely to be discovered are ancient papyrus scrolls. In the dry, airless environment of sealed tombs, papyrus can be preserved for millennia without decaying. Imagine an entire library sealed and preserved for 4,000 years. A vault that could entirely rewrite the history of Egypt, revealing details about dynasties, rulers, religion, science, and culture of those distant times. These findings could be as significant as deciphering the Rosetta Stone, opening new horizons of knowledge about ancient Egyptian civilization. However, it must not be forgotten that the labyrinth was created not only to hide its secrets, but also to guard them forever from outsiders. Within its dark, airless corridors, ancient traps may still lurk, ingenious and dangerous. The lost labyrinth of Hava, long shrouded in mystery and legend, is finally ceasing to be merely a myth and is transforming into tangible reality before our eyes. Centuries have passed since this enigmatic and silent giant was buried beneath layers of time and oblivion, and now it is ready to reveal its ancient secrets. The entire world holds its breath, waiting to see if these legends, preserved deep within history, hopes, and myths, will be confirmed. Thanks to modern scientific advancements and relentless human curiosity, the forgotten wonder of the world, this vast underground complex, like a sleeping giant, is poised to rise from oblivion. Yet the most pressing question remains unanswered and louder than ever today. What exactly are the knowledge and secrets stored within these ancient walls, so vital and mysterious that their creators built the most complex, grandiose, and at the same time most deadly structure of their era to protect them? What revelations lie hidden in the dark and mysterious halls of this underground labyrinth? And when we finally open the sealed doors that have guarded their secrets for centuries, will we be prepared for what awaits us on the other side? The answers to these questions are yet to be discovered, and our investigation is only just beginning. A huge thank you to everyone who watched this episode to the end. Your support, your likes, and subscriptions are very important to us because it is thanks to you that we can continue to tell these exciting stories. Don't forget to click the bell icon to stay updated with the latest news and not miss our new episodes.